Hello, 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 and welcome to the show with Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. Uh, Previewing and reviewing the latest shows of WWE, AEW, everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox. Sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, that guy, James J., alongside the leader of Squad Squad, Kaliko Yacht, who may be here, who knows, the American Scooter Dust, who might be joining us a little bit later, but who is here, our very special guest from Dusting Off the Ropes, Ryan Dust.
What's going on, everybody? How is everybody doing tonight? Is this live? I just want to know. Is this live?
Oh no.
Well, whenever you're seeing this, I hope you guys are having a great day. It's been a wonderful week in the wrestling world. A lot has happened. As we know, it has been just great.
Absolutely. And it was a great
There's just so much to talk about.
oh absolutely. Um we have and it's a great week for Wrestling With as well. As last week on the show, we interviewed Billy Tipton. Fantastic interview, fantastic person. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Billy does in the future. And on the 11th, the Tuesday before that, we interviewed Kat Von Hughes. Cannot recommend that interview enough, Kat. So so involved in the Canadian wrestling scene, it's just fantastic. This upcoming Wednesday, we got Erica Torres, the American Witch, and you definitely don't want to miss that one as well. A great road story, a former NWA Women's Champion, legitimately. And we cover all of that and much, much more. Alright, let's get into the news. Now that we're done putting ourselves over, we are wrestling with, well, John Moxley has signed a new 5-year contract with AEW. They will be not just wrestling, but coaching and etc. etc. And it does seem like a big get and a smart move by AEW to lock Moxley down. All things considering, since he usually picks up the pieces when they drop the ball. Oh, and we're being joined by Scooter Dust.
Bienvenidos, power bottoms.
Ryan, why don't you start, John Moxley, new 5-year contract?
I think he's been doing awesome in AEW. I think it's smart of him to sign a contract. He's been dominating the AEW scene. His wife just got signed by AEW, so I think that was the main concern with him of where his wife goes. And I guess now that his wife is in AEW, it's the right choice to stay in AEW. He has no interest in going to WWE. He's the AEW World Champion for sake. He's been doing awesome. He's part of the Blackpool Combat Club. He has some friends there in AEW. So this 5-year contract, and the contract helps him. Apparently he's now helps coaching wise in the wrestling. So I think that's a great step for him and everything. But overall, I think it was a smart move, and I'm glad he's sticking with AEW. It seems like he's happy there.
What say you, Scooter?
Clearly, Mox is the perfect fit for AEW. Mox wants to be the guy that a company is built around. There, and he gets the freedom. In fact, he's probably one of the only superstars now that has freedom. Well, such freedom to the extent where he can do almost whatever he pleases at this point, because he's bailed Tony out so many damn times.
Not to mention he's trustable.
Yes, if anything, Moxley is absolutely reliable. Would he have gotten the same type of freedom were he to return under the Triple H regime? Probably. And he'd probably get more days off, quite honestly.
And more money.
Yes, but you know what? Mox, he's not a bitter person when it comes to relations is one thing Mox does very well. You'd be rare to find a person that speaks ill of him as a person. Rare that speaks ill of John Good, the person.
Sure.
So, Mox is happy. Now he's got Renee there, which is absolutely great. I hope they give Renee a bit more of a voice than they did this past Wednesday, quite honestly. But Mox is happy. He's got everything he wants, and re-signing him was the smartest decision Tony Khan has ever made.
Especially in the last few months. And, on top of, being an active wrestler, he'll be coaching and doing some more behind the scenes work. Does it seem like John Moxley is not only looking, obviously to his wrestling career, but, obviously to his future and kind of saying, when I step down from this, I could maybe do some backstage things, especially for AEW. Do you see John Moxley kind of becoming, I don't want to say corporate, but maybe, let's say a vice president, Ryan?
Yes. I think John Moxley, he's that hardcore type of wrestler, right? I think getting this role in going for behind the scenes and everything, I think it's gonna help him, wind down a little bit of that, his body of, all those, just the extreme moments when if it's thumbtacks or barbed wire. I've been hearing that Tony Khan doesn't want Moxie or any AEW stars working at GCW and stuff, so I think that's going to help, but especially just coaching these young talent into just becoming big stars like him. It'll be amazing to see what these stars can be from John Moxley's coaching.
What say you, Scooter?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I thought I said all I really needed to say. I mean, he's got control. The fact that he wants to train, students which I think he's going to try and train them in, not in the indie way, but in the way he was trained in NXT.
Kind of get him
NFC.
camera ready.
Yeah. So that AEW can have superstars that perform at the WWE type level. Because there's really no AEW style of match yet. You can't say, oh, this is classic AEW. There's no level for AEW yet, and they need to have that. They need to have those superstars that can demonstrate that they are the future of wrestling. They are not only entertaining, but great to watch from all aspects of entertainment.
You're actually right about that. AEW really doesn't necessarily have a type of match that, they're really known for. You could say, classic AEW. Other than, just having, you know, an independent flip gymnastics show, more or less, with their competition, with their wrestlers. So maybe, we'll see a more grounded type of wrestling going forward, if AEW lasts for another 5 years. Alright, talking about lasting, we haven't seen Adam Cole since Forbidden Door. From what I'm hearing, he still has a very severe concussion, and that he might not return to wrestling as a whole. Ryan, um, Adam Cole not being able to compete again, and what that has to do with, how big of a blow is that to AEW?
Well, Adam Cole is a huge star when it comes to this wrestling business. He's pretty much done a lot of things that most wrestlers say they can, say that they did. Adam Cole, former NXT champion, former North American champion NXT, former Ring of Honor champion, mistake me if I'm wrong. Adam Cole is he's that guy where, the crowd just gets behind him, and he creates all of these, great matches. So with him being sidelined and not being, able to wrestle because of the concussion, and just hearing that he might not even wrestle again is heartbreaking, considering, grown watching wrestling, especially NXT. I was ecstatic when he showed up in WWE, and just making the statement known that he's here in NXT and he's going after the NXT championship, and then making his way through the ranks of NXT to becoming number one, creating the Undisputed Era, one of the greatest factions of all time, probably the greatest faction ever to come out of NXT, and then going to AEW, and still getting to be with his friends Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, and also getting to work with the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. That was something. And then unfortunately with this injury, we might not see those dream matches now, or the matches that we want to see, if we want to see Adam Cole versus Bryan Danielson again, or if we want to see Adam Cole versus, you know, some of the young stars like Dante Martin, Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, you know, all those stars. Like, you know, you want to see it again, or you want to see it for the first time. You want to see these matches, and because Adam Cole is just such that big star, you know, that's a huge blow to AEW, because that's an AEW future AEW champion. But unfortunately, we might not even see him hold a championship in AEW.
Anything you want to add, Squirtle?
I mean, given everything that's happened, the fact that Bobby Fish is now part of Impact, and Kyle O'Reilly is, you know, I think we may need to, you know, start putting his picture on milk cartons.
He's not really that good. He broke his neck, I
No,
believe.
let's go with the milk cartons. I mean, this is going to sound like it's really petty, but I would not be surprised if Adam Cole begged the doctor to say his concussion was more severe than he realized.
Oh my god.
Because let's look at Adam Cole's tenure in AEW. Okay. Owen Hart Cup winner. Great. It's a title he doesn't get to keep.
No.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Gets a program with Adam Page for the AEW title. And that's it. It's like it was promised to him that a title match was promised to him, and a pay-per-view main event was promised to him, and him against Hangman was just Tony fulfilling that part of the contract. And with everything going on in AEW, can Adam Cole survive on his own in terms of getting over as just a singles competitor, not part of any stable? We don't know if that's possible anymore.
You know, that's a good question. And the thing of it is, I don't remember Adam Cole never not being a part of a faction, whether it was Future Chef, the Kingdom, Undisputed Era, the Elite, Bullet Club. He always had backup in one way or another.
So maybe the next natural progression for him,
Managing Britt Baker?
I was going to say a gimmick about being a loner, but I mean, okay, imagine this. Britt gets dumped by Jamie Hayter and Reba.
Yeah.
She's got nobody. So Adam Cole and Britt Baker come back with the gimmick of being loners.
Loners together.
And they call themselves the Lone Wolves.
I just like to see him
There's
as...
two of them. They're not exactly lone.
I'd like to see Adam sitting at the reception desk at Baker's dentist office, and see he'll get his name wrong.
Only if he wears the Candy Striker outfit.
Oh, absolutely. Um, Somebody else that kind of feels like they're wearing this candy stripe outfit. Ariel Helwani. Um,
Helwani.
Close enough. Obviously a very respected journalist in MMA, WWE, AEW, interviewed loads of people and talent. Recently said Tony Khan was one of the worst and most frustrating interviews of his career. Um, this comes out of Tony not wanting to say anything about the CM Punk Elite situation. Ryan, your thoughts on Tony Khan not doing an interview but not doing an interview?
It's hard. I mean, he's there's a lot of stuff going on in AEW right now. It seems like the whole backstage situation is getting out of hand in AEW. When one week it's these wrestlers, the next week it's these wrestlers. I'm sure he's got a lot to handle. I think what he should have known is that if he's going to be going into an interview, he's probably going to be asked about that. So he should, if he didn't want to talk about it, he could have just I don't know if he asked it nicely or not, but like, if he doesn't want to talk about it, in my opinion, he doesn't have to. Now, now if it's the way he said it, then I would get it. But like, if that's also a lot of personal stuff. I mean, that's not storyline. That's I think that's clear at this point. This is not storyline. This is real stuff, and I don't think Tony wants to talk about it because I think he knows that if he talks about it, the media is going to start talking about it more. It's just going to seem like his company is worse than any other company out there, especially with the handling of backstage. And he just doesn't. Again, he just doesn't want his company to look bad. And I'm sure that's what he was looking for in the interview, to make his company look good, not bad. And I think bringing up the whole situation with the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Punk, I think that that was just not what he was looking for. He was just he was just looking to talk good about the company, talk good about everybody, and just doesn't want to get into all that beef. And again, he doesn't. Also, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, especially with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. You say one wrong thing about them, they'll probably walk out. Which which I don't know if they've already said they were going to walk out or they plan to. But you don't want to upset anybody, because if you upset anybody, people are going to want to go. And I don't think, especially with the state of WWE right now, I don't think he wants anybody to ask for their release. And he wants as many people as he can to stay and perform on his show.
Well, we've gone into great detail as all of the people that asked for their releases and not using the people that actually do want to be there. But Scooter, whenever bad shit happens in WWE, when has Vince McMahon ever commented on it or did an interview?
Well, that's the thing, is that Vince, again, grew up in the business in all aspects, so he's got a team to manage those issues and to tell him what to say and to help guide him, help guide him around, the issues, of course, 94 and the Zaharias trial. That's just one example. Love him or hate him, Vince was not one to deny business mistakes in terms of the company. He knew the biggest part of a popular company is their public relations team. But Vince would also, and it's amazing how he did it, he would use that bad news as a springboard to show, hey, guess what? There's bad news going on. You know what? It's not affecting me. Look at my grapefruits. Miz, you could learn a thing or two. So, I mean, Vince would flaunt his bad news. He would wear it as a badge of honor.
I mean, look at the last bad news that he got. All of those allegations came out about him. What did he do? He spread it out on Monday Night Raw and welcomed all of us to it.
Just wait until we get the Vince McMahon sex tape. And it starts with that same introduction in front of a live arena.
But, Tony doesn't... It seems like Tony's always doing interviews with Busted Open Radio. This interviews galore. It's not why you have talent. You don't need to be out there. Vince McMahon barely did one every decade. Stephanie McMahon rarely does interviews involving storylines in WWE. Even Triple H at this point has really stopped doing interviews as well. Be the boss. Your time's not needed there. But then again, Tony wants to play Komodo, no?
Absolutely. Again, he's a franchise owner playing wrestling promoter.
Tony's not really being he's not being like a boss like Vince McMahon, or he's more being like everybody's friend, and I think that's the way he's putting it, because you see him like hugging people. Vince McMahon doesn't do that because he's the boss. Like, Tony Khan's acting like, oh yeah, everybody's like, I'm your boss. That means I'm your friend, and but being more of a friend and not a boss, that comes with consequences, and the consequences are definitely showing right now for Tony Khan and AEW.
Definitely. And speaking of something that will involve consequences, The Rock did an interview explaining that he's the head of the table. We're getting there. We're getting to a Rock Roman match. Ryan, when are we going? Is this going to lead up to WrestleMania, or could it lead to a match prior to this?
Well, I think, especially with WrestleMania being in Hollywood this year, Rock is made for Hollywood. Like, you know, when you think of Hollywood, one of the people you think of is Dwayne Johnson. You know, you got to have it on the biggest stage of them all, especially if you have the head of the table, Roman Reigns, versus somebody who proclaims that they're the head of the table, The Rock. You know, they're both part of the same family. And you see Roman Reigns. If somebody doesn't say that he's the head of the table, you see how he gets. He gets mad. So you got to wonder what's going through Roman Reigns' mind when The Rock said that he's the head of the table and not Roman. You know, The Rock was in the business for pro wrestling. You know, he's multi-time WWE champion. He's done a lot of things in the business. The one thing that Roman Reigns has done that The Rock has not is hold a world title for a long amount of time to the point where it's almost record-breaking territory, where you're getting in the ranks. So of course Roman Reigns is probably gonna get mad at this, and you're gonna have it at the biggest stage because you have the biggest star of this decade versus the biggest star of like the 2000s, the 1990s, like, you know, one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, The Rock. Like, when you think of the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling, people think of The Rock, right?
Oh,
People think of The Rock, Stone Cold, Macho Man Randy Savage, like, you know, all of these. You know, that's a big accomplishment to be even considered for the Mount Rushmore of professional wrestling. So when you have that big star, you can't have it on any other premium live event or show other than WrestleMania. It just makes sense.
yeah, obviously, and I mean, you know, this could be the reason Roman loses the title to Logan Paul at Crown Jewel. Is that an option, Scooter? Scooter?
Wait, how did we get from Logan Paul? How did we get to Logan Paul here?
Well, I'm
We were talking.
asking,
We were talking about The Rock.
yes, how could Logan Paul use this to win the title at Crown Jewel? Because obviously that's where this is leading. You know, obviously The Rock costs Roman Reigns the title at Crown Jewel.
James, you have never been funnier in your entire life. Yeah, clearly that's not happening. And if you think it's happening, fuck you!
But, you know, it is, in all seriousness, Rock versus Roman is going to take place at WrestleMania. Clearly, they're setting it up.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
But,
And
continue.
I think if they're building it, there are two things to consider. One, is it a title match?
That's what I was alluding to.
But the other thing is, do you put Rock in the Hall of Fame this year? And do you use the Hall of Fame for one final confrontation?
I don't. The Hall of Fame isn't there to enhance rivalries. It's there to just be a celebration of the former wrestlers. I If Roman is still champion by Mania, then I feel like he has to have two matches where he beats The Rock the first night and loses the title to Cody or Bray or Johnny or whoever they decide to put in that position. Because wasting this legendary run on somebody that didn't need the exposure like The Rock, it makes Roman's reign, no pun intended, feel wasted almost. No?
So are you saying it shouldn't rain on Roman Reigns' reign of reigns?
I mean, yeah, if it's a rock, then it rains in Spain. That's his
Well,
mainly in the train.
you know, given everything that Roman has been doing, I would not be surprised if we get whatever match is announced for Roman for the title, which we're assuming right now it's Roman and Cody.
More or less, yes.
I think we're going to get Rock and Roman. That's going to be made after that, and Roman is going to be so full of himself that he says he'll do it. He'll wrestle both nights.
Here's
That's
another
something.
alternative. What if Cody comes back at the Rumble and wins the Rumble? What if Cody says, "Well, I don't want the Universal Championship. I only want the WWE Championship. That's what I came back to WWE for. Give me an only WWE Championship match." That leaves
Here's
the
the
Universal Championship open for Roman.
here's the thing. Rather than you can't have Roman lose just one title. It kills the entire record dead.
I mean, the record's with the Universal Championship.
And now it's lumped into the WWE Championship. There's already one asterisk on it. There doesn't need to be a second. But let's say, okay, Roman Cody's happening on night 2. Let's say, that's the title match. Rock Roman happens on night 1, and it's not a title match. Doesn't even have to be. And The Rock beats Roman, and he beats him clean. So much that the bloodline is starting to really doubt him. Then we go into night 2, Roman and Cody. Now there's a fourth piece to this puzzle. And it's Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt needs that ultimate redemption. What better way than, let's say, Bray abducts the bloodline?
Ooh.
And in something unprecedented in WrestleMania history, he actually costs Roman the title. You move on to a Roman and Bray feud, and then you have Cody voluntarily give up one of the titles.
Well,
because Dusty would have wanted it that way.
I mean, I do feel like if Roman is gonna fall, it has to be hard.
Yes.
And, I always go back to the Okada run, where he held it for 2.5 years, 13 defenses. It was the longest reigning and most defending champion of all time at that run. He lost the championship, and then he couldn't buy a win for over a month. So why not have Roman lose to The Rock night one, lose to Cody the second night, flip all the belts, then lose and just go down that downward spiral of honestly an identity crisis. Because how could you be the head of the table when you lost to the guy that said he was the head of the table, and then obviously lose all the championships to Cody the next night?
Yeah. And it's the one man everyone is comparing you to. It's that final shadow that's looming over him. The question is, do we get a SummerSlam rematch between Rock and Roman, where Roman finally puts this issue to bed? But will we care at that point?
Not at SummerSlam, but definitely the next year in Philadelphia.
And as much as I would love to see Rock Roman 2 in person, they don't need to do that. Please,
I feel
don't
like
let them
Rock
do that.
on any show other than WrestleMania is wasted. And if they tell the story with Roman properly, where he has had a miserable year leading up to that match, and he needs to beat Rock to retain becoming the head of the table, then I'm okay with that.
Okay, here's the other scenario. What if it's not Rock Roman this year?
And then they build up a match for 1 year straight with Roman and Rock.
Yes.
God. What are your thoughts on this, Ryan?
I mean, I think Scooter's right. It's almost like if you lose to the person that they proclaim that they're the head of the table. I mean, if I was saying I was like the best wrestler ever, the best champion ever or whatever, the best wrestler ever, and I have somebody else saying that they're the best wrestler ever, and then we collided and then they win, I would feel ashamed. I would feel like I let down the people that have supported me, the people and then in Roman Reigns' sake, he would feel like he let down his family, because for years he has been calling himself the head of the table, and now that somebody has basically taken away that not the championship title, but the title of head of the table, I mean, I think that would get to him. I mean, you saw, like, going back to last week on SmackDown, or a couple weeks ago on SmackDown, when Logan Paul and Roman Reigns, I think it was last week, when Roman Reigns and Logan Paul were in the same ring, and Logan Paul said, "Who am I versing at Crown Jewel? The head of the table, Roman Reigns, or the head of the table, Jey Uso?" You saw the look in Roman Reigns' face when he said that, he looked mad. He looked like that he was the head of the table. That he will do whatever it takes to be the head of the table. He will do whatever it takes to be the champion I mean, again, going back to a couple of years ago in that Hell in a Cell match with Jey Uso, and he basically choked out Jimmy. He does whatever he can to be the head of the table. So I think that if he does lose at WrestleMania to The Rock, if there is a match, of course, that will come to extreme play if he goes against Cody.
Well, we could spend the rest of this episode talking about and debating it, but there are other things going on as well. One of the things that happened last Friday was Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory, and I don't necessarily feel like it was worthy enough to have a full segment on, but not worthy enough to be talked about. Um, so it took place last Friday in Albany, New York. I love that Albany. In the Albany Armory. Um, and
Gonna banning you from this podcast. Audio experience.
and the big problem with these shows, it wasn't a bad show, but honestly, nothing spectacular happened on it. I mean, when the biggest news coming out of a paid preview is that Dirty Dango was on the pre-show. You have problems, no, Scooter?
I mean, it was worse than Halloween Ends.
And we are definitely looking forward to Halloween Begins again. Um, Obviously, just going over the matches real quick. Frankie Kazarian defeated Mike Bailey to win uh, the Impact X Division Championship. Mickey James,
Yay.
yes,
I know, I just said, yay.
Mickey James defeated Mia Yim to continue living her career.
And speaking of someone who may be on her way back to the WWE,
Yeah. We'll talk about them in more. Yeah, let's talk about it now. Mia Yim returning to WWE. Is that a good get for WWE, or is this another? Why did they bring? Why are they bringing this person back like Braun Strowman?
because they clearly want Keith back.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Keith Lee's in AEW and she's in Impact, and she's made it very clear that she doesn't need to be in the same place as her husband to be happy.
I mean, Mia Yim, the Twitch streamer who, for enough subs, will get her husband to make an appearance on the stream.
Oh my god, really?
So, yep.
Okay then.
So, yeah, she doesn't need that to be happy, but it certainly would be a lot easier, and I mean, unless, Mia Yim's got a side piece.
Yum Yums?
I mean, they don't call him Speedballs Mike Bailey for nothing.
Okay then. Well, I'm not going. I'm not going there. Ryan, would you like to see Mia Yim back in WWE?
That's a tough one. I'm gonna say no, just because I'm scared that she will just be, a talent on the roster that just will not be used. I think the whole retribution thing really was not good for her, and I don't think she wants to be remembered by that retribution gimmick and everything. But also considering, with the amount of talent WWE has in their women's division, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan, Bayley, we might even see the return of some Sasha Banks, all these stars, Bianca Belair, all these stars in WWE. Where's the room for Mia Yim when it comes to the roster in WWE? There's really much no room, unless of course you send her to NXT. Then there's so much room, which that could possibly be the possibility, because I think NXT would really suit her, especially going after the NXT, Women's Championship. Mandy Rose does need some challengers if she does happen to retain against Alba Fire at the next NXT Premium Live event. But I think Mia Yim, especially since, as Scooter was saying, with her husband being in AEW and not in WWE, I think she would rather much stay away from WWE, unless if Keith Lee goes with her.
Alright. The next match from Bound for Glory, the Death Dolls, Jessica and Taya Valkyrie defeated VXT, Chelsea Green and Deanna Purrazzo. No surprise there. The Kingdom, Matt Taven and Mike Bennett with Maria Kanellis defeated the Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin. Matt Taven, another name WWE is interested in. Why? Scooter.
They've been looking at Matt Taven for a while. I don't think Triple H could sell anyone on Matt Taven. Prior to Grapefruit Gate. So, I mean, it'd be an interesting acquisition. The question is how many WWE fans actually know who Matt Taven is?
That's a good question. Ryan, do you know who Matt Taven is?
Well, I'll prove Scooter's point. Nope.
Quote the Taven, nevermore.
Speaking of which, he was inducted in the Impact Hall of Fame that very night by Tommy Dreamer.
I'm still waiting for Scotty Flamingo to be inducted.
I'll give it some time. The 20-person intergender Call Your Shot Gauntlet match. Bully Ray won. Ryan, do you know who he is?
Yes, I do know who Bully Ray is. I just saw him live in action.
Do you know who I am?
Yes.
That's right.
I did see him live in action. No, he's legendary when it comes to the tag team division in professional wrestling.
Get the muffins.
Jordan Grace defeated Master Slamovic to retain the Impact Knockouts Women's Championship. Fuck Jordan Grace.
Hashtag Big Clit cheated. Major Clit cheated.
Jordan,
yes.
Jordan Grace. Masha
Don't threaten her with a good time. And also, don't threaten us with a lawsuit for that. Don't try to cancel us for that.
Yeah. Well, we're just really big Masha supporters. We've been big Masha supporters since we've interviewed her over 2 years ago. So yeah, we're a little pissed that Masha didn't win. For somebody that honestly is in career twilight when it comes to personality, if I'm being honest. But that's a whole other story for a whole other time. And then we got Josh Alexander defeating Eddie Edwards to retain Impact World Championship. Disappointingly enough, Josh did not get to celebrate his victory. He got attacked again. I mean, why don't they let this guy have a breather, celebrate? I mean, this is the second year in a row.
He's becoming the Pete Rose of Impact. And it'll happen next year too.
Is Josh Alexander somebody WWE should be looking at?
Shit. There was a good thing in Ethan Page and Josh Alexander as a team.
Yeah, but I feel like Josh Alexander, when it comes to wrestling ability, he has the potential to be a real threat in WWE.
Does he though?
Honestly, yeah. If you give him a little bit more intensity, Canadian Kurt Angle.
And then put him with Alpha Academy.
Absolutely, you could absolutely do that. It'd be a great first stop, initial rivalry for him. Alright, and the blows just keep coming to Impact Wrestling as the Good Brothers, have not resigned if you watched Monday. And Matt Taven and Mike Bennett might be leaving as well, including Vincent as well. It does kind of seem like whenever Impact has, decent talent and a little bit of momentum, it never lasts. You see that being the truth, Scooter?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt.
And obviously, speaking of which, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows back in WWE. They don't go there. Mainly Anderson because he is currently the never openweight champion of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So obviously some things have to be arranged, and obviously there is communication between WWE and New Japan. Ryan, what are your thoughts on WWE working with New Japan?
I think it's hard. I think especially with the new direction WWE's going with the Triple H and everything. I think they're more easygoing when it comes to this type of stuff. If it was Vince, I don't think this would ever have happened. But I think Triple H is more easygoing. I think he understands. What's confusing to me or what is questioning me is, how does Tony Khan feel about this? With, he had the Forbidden Door event last year, earlier this year, and now that New Japan is working with WWE, you gotta wonder what's going through his mind. But I do think that this is good, that at least he can, somehow get rid of the championship and then go to WWE. At least WWE is giving him the opportunity to still hold that championship and still, defend it. But obviously, he's going to lose it sooner rather than later. So, and again, as I was saying, if it was Vince in charge, this would never have happened.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. But, dropping the title sooner than later, the obvious place to drop it is Wrestle Kingdom, which is January 4th. No, Scooter?
Here's the thing. We're assuming this means that WWE is working with New Japan. Whether or not Carl Anderson is the one that bridges the gap remains to be seen. However, if this is the case, then yeah, have him drop it at Wrestle Kingdom. And you know what? I'd put money on one or two New Japan stars showing up in the Rumble.
Ooh. Interesting. I think we'll continue this conversation for another time when we maybe get closer to, or when more details come up. That'll conclude our coverage of the news. And now a quick word from our sponsors.
The only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, whether it be juices, shakes, smoothies, and everything else in between. Their low-calorie, no-sugar energy formula is the perfect alternative to sugar-filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Their extreme formula provides the most energy, focus, and sports performance possible. Their hydration line offers focus, ingredients without the added caffeine. Drink it anytime you're thirsty. And their shake formula is so delicious. Who doesn't love a cookies and cream, 0-calorie energy milkshake? First and foremost, they've designed every Rogue product line with performance and effectiveness in mind. It is critical that you look at the nutrition panels of drinks when comparing options. There are countless off-brands out there that are presenting low-quality, poorly dosed formulas that amount to expensive caffeine water. Every formula they produce is designed with optimal levels of high-quality ingredients. Additionally, you won't find a powdered gaming drink brand that dissolves better. No need to have chalky textures in your drink. Their taste profiles are unmatched, specifically designed for gamers, athletes, students, entrepreneurs, people with hectic schedules, individuals with low energy, podcasters who can't shut up, people who are health conscious, and so much more. Great as both a pre-workout and as a coffee energy drink replacement. Specifically designed every Rogue product line to be the best gaming drink on the planet. Rogue Energy, more focus, more wins.
Use promo code WrestlingWithE for 10% off your next purchase. And we are wrestling with WWE Extreme Rules. It took place last Saturday in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, at the Wells Fargo Center. Attendance was 15,944. They haven't had a bad PLE since we came into 2022. Personally, this one didn't hit maybe as hard as the others. I don't know what was kind of missing, but it did seem like it was kind of cut and dry. But definitely not a bad event either. But what say you, Ryan?
I think, well, this Extreme Rules was different than any other Extreme Rules in the past. I just want to get that out of the way. This Extreme Rules was.
Ryan?
I muted this whole time.
You might have been.
Great. All right. So I'll restart. I'll restart them. Uh, this Extreme Rules was different than any other Extreme Rules. Every match had a stipulation, right?
Yeah.
You know, in the past, you know, we would barely even get an Extreme Rules match, barely even a stipulation to any matches for Extreme Rules. This Extreme Rules was different for the good, and I think with going where you were saying where it just felt like a bland, I think it's because of one reason, one person, Roman Reigns. Another premium live event, another premium live event where Roman Reigns does not defend either of his championships. That's another premium live event that a world title has not been defended on the show.
Or any
So
of the bloodline wasn't present either.
And no men's singles titles either.
Yeah, no United States Championship. Bobby Lashley wasn't even on the card. Gunther, who was the Intercontinental Champion, was in a 6-man tag team match. So again, that's another premium live event where the Intercontinental Championship and the United States Championship have not been defended. But I think we can give it some slack for the Intercontinental Championship's sake. For the United States Championship, I don't understand. But the thing is, I think Triple H knows where he's going with it. You know, he's been hyping up championship matches on Raw and SmackDown. You know, I think that's where he's going with it. But, you know, this Extreme Rules, you know, it felt like this is what Extreme Rules is supposed to be. You know, an event that every match has a stipulation. Every match is supposed to get to the extreme. And overall, at least in my opinion, I thought it lived up to at least somewhat to the expectations that I was hoping for.
All right, what say you, Squiddo?
A solid show from start to finish, in spite of there only being women's title matches on the card, and that's not necessarily a bad thing.
All right, well, let's get
It's
into
a
Oh, are you? Did you? Have
okay. It's a solid effort to show what they can do without relying on what the definitive main event is. Because we were all guessing up until which match is going to be the main event and which match is worthy of the main event.
And none of us guessed right. We had either the I Quit or the ladder match as the main event.
Yep.
Alright, let's get into it. The Brawling Brutes, Sheamus, Britt Harland, and Butch defeated Imperium. Gunther Walter Starks, Ludwig Kaiser Permanente Roll, and Giovanni Vince McMahon.
Da Vinci. Giovanni Da Vinci. Come on. You gotta do a joke, do a funny one.
And a good old fashioned Donnybrook match. It lasted 17 minutes 50 seconds. Probably my favorite match on the card, just because how insane it was. But what say you, Ryan?
I think that match definitely lived up to the expectation. Great match all around. The thing I liked about the match is that it didn't make Gunther look weak. It didn't really make even pretty much anybody look weak. Even though I think it was Kaiser that took the pin, or it was not Gunther.
It was Giovanni.
So it was Giovanni.
Blue Cross Blue Shield.
With the way the match was going, no man looked weak. Everybody looked strong. So it was a really good match, and I think it was a really good way for Gunther to lose, but not look weak, not look like he's that he shouldn't be champion. I think it all worked out in the end. It was a great way to end the feud. At least what it looks like.
What say you, Scooter?
Well, given that, Gunther is Austrian, I find his lack of Oktoberfest disturbing. But given that this was, a Donnybrook match and not a barroom brawl, you know what I love with my eggs is Ridge Hollandaise.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Yeah, and you're wishing you thought of that joke. I you can't go wrong when you have Irish guys, Welsh guys, and British guys,
Italian guys.
and Austrian guys and German guys all fighting each other.
That's what Jordan Gray said.
It's a world war.
Ryan, how many stars do you give this match?
How many stars? I would give it 4.5.
Oh, wow. Scooter.
I will give it 4 pints of Guinness.
I'll give it 4. Alright, we got Ronda Rousey defeating Liv Morgan by technical submission to capture the SmackDown Women's Championship in 12 minutes and 5 seconds. Honestly, disappointed. Ronda didn't need the title. Liv could have had it for a little bit longer, and Ronda could have had a great story coming out of this. But WWE, they're going with the goal that makes them more money. Ryan, your thoughts?
I thought it was an okay of a match. I mean, I did like the table spot. I did like how they were, using the bats and everything. I think, especially hearing what the original plan that Ronda wanted, I think it was just lacking of an ending. And I just feel like that ending would have been better with the ending Ronda wanted. But and I just don't like the outcome. I don't think Ronda needed the title. I think Ronda is just not good with the title, and I think like you were saying, I think Liv should have held it at least until after Survivor Series, and then you could have seen Bianca versus Liv, which could have been a really good match at Survivor Series, if that is what it is. Again, with War Games this year, who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, not living up to the expectations I wanted. Okay of a match.
I will say it was their best match up to this point, for sure.
Yeah, that's not saying much about Ronda, though.
No,
Yeah.
no. But what say you, Scooter?
Fuck Ronda Rousey.
Okay.
She's not good with the title. She's not good, period. Good Lord. Like, she's not Ken Shamrock. It's not knuckle up time. God's sakes. Shamrock had such a seriousness about him that fit so well into the time. Rousey is a seesaw, flipping back and forth between loving the fans and then hating the fans, and parading around in her shirts that are pro-life.
What?
Do you remember the Every Child Matters shirt?
I don't watch SmackDown that often, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's what that was about.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that shirt was about abortion. So yeah, fuck Ronda Rousey with a big rusty dildo made out of nails.
Wrestling with Entertainment does not
Yes, they do.
publicly endorse any of the views said by any of the co-hosts.
Yes, we do.
I
Except when
don't.
they tweet at hate tweets to @ScubaDust.
This is James. We endorse it.
Wow, that was a really lazy imitation of me. I'd ask you how many stars you would give this match, but I think you kind of already answered that.
Yeah.
Ryan, how many stars?
2.
I'll give it 3.
Negative a million.
Alright.
Karrion Kross
Okay.
with Scarlett defeated Drew McIntyre in a strap match. It kind of seems like Kross is biding his time with the return of Bray and possibly Alistair, unless he gets a big gimmick refresher. I don't see this match mattering in the long run. It was a decent match, but honestly, nothing special. But what say you, Ryan?
Not what I want. Like, not what I expected. Like, I thought could have been better. I thought also, like, I mean, I guess the ending, it didn't make Drew look weak. It let Karrion Kross win, but just another match, another interference. Not lived up to my expectations. I didn't think it was a good match. I wish it could have been better, and it could have been.
Oh, for sure. What say you, Scooter?
What match were we talking about again?
Karrion Kross and Drew McIntyre.
Yeah. So I think we need to amend this. It was Scarlett that beat Drew McIntyre.
Oh, you're absolutely right.
With a good old fashioned kick to the balls.
It was a
However,
of ice.
He was sprayed.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was maced.
Yeah, because you can't throw a fireball. Because she's not a wizard.
All right, fine. I got the wrong set of balls. So nope, no phrasing on that one. So if you watched SmackDown last night, for some reason they decided to stage a car accident.
But he's not cold.
With Karrion Kross and Scarlett. No, they were the ones driving. Particularly Scarlett was driving. That's why the accident happened. I'm sorry, women. Yes. And Kross, concussed and bloodied Kross which ironically didn't have Jesus on it, was attacked by Drew McIntyre after the accident. I don't know how we're supposed to feel about that. Like, we're like, are we supposed to like kind of hate Drew because he beat up on a accident victim? Like, this is clearly going for one more. If it's probably going to lead to Crown Jewel.
Well, more than likely.
Ooh, maybe we'll get an Arabian death match.
They can't do a death match in WWE or PG still.
Well, they can call it a death match. They can define it Arabian death match to be whatever they want. Fine, an Arabian passing away match.
That sounds nice. Yeah, I'm up for that.
Loser is the first one to grab up and reach the golden camel? No, ooh. A Tatooine Galactic Sand Pit match.
Loser gets digested for 10,000 years.
You just had them fight in the desert.
It actually sounds like fun.
And then, John Wick shows up. It's like, God, I took a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Deleted scenes from John Wick Chapter 3.
How many stars would you give this match, Scooter?
Well, it depends on how many Carrion saw after the car accident.
It definitely feels like he needs
It was...
Ludwig, Kaiser, Permanente.
That's why we here at Wrestling With, well, we believe in progressive. Progressive. Fuck State Farm!
Give us money. Those are great segues.
It was brutal. The match didn't even start for like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, until, like at home, it didn't start until Cross got the strap on. I'm cracking myself up here. Oh, James, we got to get a soundboard, seriously. I will give it. I'll give it 3 3/4.
Ryan. The only struggle I'm having is, was it better than Liv versus Ronda? I said 2 stars for Liv versus Ronda. I'm gonna give this match 2 stars.
I'm gonna give it 2.5.
Wow, so generous.
Yeah. Ladder match for the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defeated Bayley in 16 minutes and 40 seconds. Not a bad match. But it kind of feels like Bayley doesn't need it, and Bianca doesn't need to beat Bayley at this point. I mean, if you swap Bayley out for Ronda and Ronda for Belair, maybe these matches would have been a little bit more interesting. But Again, it just feels like Belair doesn't need to beat Bailey, and Bailey doesn't need the title. But what say you, Ryan?
Going into the match, I think one, it did kind of live up to my expectations. I think it, for what doesn't make sense to me is that, Bailey at Clash at the Castle pinned Bianca, right?
Yeah.
So you would think that this match would be like maybe like, Extreme Rules match, or like, some way where Bailey can prove that pinning Bianca at Clash of the Castle was no joke, was no hoax. But it was a ladder match, which didn't have to do anything with pinfall or submission. That's the only thing I just don't get about the match. But overall, I thought it was a good match. I thought it could have kind of been better. I think with Damage Control getting involved, I don't think that, unless if Bailey won, I don't think they should have even came out. I mean, I get it makes Bianca look strong, but there's no point of having Damage Control come out if they're just gonna get beaten up. I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but like in the end, but I did think the ending was kind of good. Bailey taking KOD on a ladder, Bianca still retaining. I guess that's good. The only thing is, I feel like we just need more women's wrestlers to get chances. As you were saying, James, I think it could have been better if the roles were reversed with challengers wise. But I think it could have been better if, like, Bianca was going against who else is on the Raw roster? Like, even like somebody like, even from like NXT, like, it's just there's so like Shotzi, or even like Raquel, somebody like them, like somebody's got to get an opportunity here, and I feel like it's the same women's wrestlers getting the opportunities. Bailey, coming back, she gets an opportunity right away. That's all I think about it. But overall, match wise, I think it was good.
Scooter?
Well, I gotta say, it was the best women's title ladder match in history.
Because it was
I mean,
the only one. Kinda, sorta. Maybe. Absolutely not true.
It was an entertaining ladder match. It did what it had to do in terms of entertainment. Yes, I agree. Bailey does not need the title right now. She does not need to be the one that beats Bianca. So I mean, the right decision was made here, and that's all I can say. And I'll give it 3.5 stars.
Ryan.
Yeah, 3.5 stars sounds like 3.5 stars.
I agree with 3.5 stars. Alright, Finn Balor defeated Edge in an I Quit match in 29 minutes and 55 seconds. A banger of a match, great physical, wrestling, and, great storytelling as well. But when you have two incredible athletes like Edge and Finn Balor, why are you not surprised? Ryan, were you surprised?
I think it's hard to be surprised. I mean, either way, I thought, how could either one of these men quit? None of these men are designed to quit when it comes to a match. So with all the possibilities going through my head, I think, it makes sense for why Edge quit. But I think overall the match itself, I thought it was good. They went into the crowd. They got weapons involved. Going up the steps. All of this crap. But and then the only thing is, it's like, there was a disadvantage with Edge. So of course, he was going to end up losing. Like, he only had Rey Mysterio. There's the possibility of AJ Styles, but with AJ, being mad at Rey, that wasn't gonna happen.
Right.
So Edge was kind of in a disadvantage in that match. But I think the whole ending itself was good. It made Edge quit. Trying to save his wife, but with Judgment Day holding him back and Beth Phoenix knocked out cold, he had no choice. So, but it didn't make Edge look weak. It just made him looking like he's a caring husband. But overall, the match itself, it lived up to the expectations. That's really how I'm judging these matches. If it lived up to the expectations or not. I think the match lived up to the expectations.
Did it live up to the expectations for you, Scooter?
Yes, especially since I called that exact finish.
Yes, you did.
In Scooter we trust. Yeah, it lived up. It absolutely lived up to the hype. Probably the best match of the entire event. I'll give it 4.5.
Oh, generous. Ryan.
4. I think 4. Yeah.
I'll give it 4 as well. Alright, and then we got the main event. Matt Riddle defeated Seth freaking Rollins by submission in a fight pit match in 16 minutes and 35 seconds. I feel like this could have been a little bit more brutal and physical. And what they did wasn't bad. It was honestly pretty solid. But the ending kind of laid flat for me. Because it just kind of came out of nowhere. And that could just be because they needed more time for the real main event. But, what say you, Ryan?
When comparing to other fight pit matches, I gotta say for this match, what in the absolute was that? Like, it was just unbelievable. Like how I just couldn't get involved with the match. All this build up and everything. The match did not deliver, in my opinion. Yes, the senton off the top of the fight pit was cool. The second level of the fight pit was cool. But like you were saying, James, the ending came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting it, but for the wrong reason why I didn't expect it. I felt like also Seth Rollins, even though he won at Clash of the Castle, kind of needed this win. Even though he won the United States Championship on the next Raw. It just, I get it why Riddle won, but also what was the point of having Daniel Cormier in there? I get it, special guest referee, former UFC fighter, but if he's not gonna get involved, I know he pushes them away, says be careful or anything, but it would have been cool to see Daniel Cormier maybe throw a punch or two, or something like that. It just felt like Daniel Cormier was just there for the attraction of the match. It didn't feel like it lived up to the expectation as I wanted it to go. So, yeah, that's how I put it.
How did you bleep yourself?
What, like this?
Wizard did it.
Yeah, the wizard.
Oh, I thought I was just
A motherfucking wizard.
Yeah, motherfucking wizard.
Scooter.
see, people were expecting this to be bloody, violent and extreme. But people forget about the other definition of extreme. And that is, an extreme could mean something unusual, a desperate measure, or it can mean the limits of something. And that's what the fight pit was. It was supposed to test the mettle of Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins and test their extremes. How far were they willing to go while confined with only submission or knockout? And honestly, I think it succeeded. I think people were caught off guard by the fact that Rollins tapped when he did, because it wasn't any sort of really signature submission that Riddle did. It was
Riddle doesn't have a signature finisher move. Submission move.
Exactly, he doesn't. That's the thing. And everybody expects the triangle, basically, at this point. But every now and again, you kind of need an out-of-nowhere finish that doesn't involve a roll-up, or feet on the ropes, or holding tights. Sometimes you need to show that regular moves can end matches too.
So we kind of get more invested.
Yes.
Okay.
Was it the right thing to make this the main event? Probably not.
But I could also make the argument, because we're going to be talking about it in a minute. How do you go from, Edge holding his wife in his arms to Bray Wyatt? You know what I mean?
Yep, and you don't, clearly.
Right. So, and you could maybe have Bianca and Bailey, but then you're just kind of taking away from them. I don't feel like anything was taken away from having Riddle and Rollins. Um, what leads into this takes away from their match.
Well, and not to mention that next week, Riddle now has a shot at the United States Championship.
Of course. Alright, Scooter, how many stars?
I'm gonna be generous and give it 3.5.
Ryan.
1. I can't give it more than 1. It didn't. I thought it was going to be way better than that.
I give it 3.5 as well. Alright, and that brings us to the main event. The real main event. The White Rabbit was revealed. Or was he? Bray Wyatt came back. There was the whole. He's got the whole world in his hands song. Um, there
Really
was
sounded like Triple H, but apparently it really was Bray Wyatt.
maybe his voice got huskier. Harris.
Or Harris here.
Yeah. We got cameos from Huskus the Pig, the Rattling Rabbit, um, uh, yeah,
Mercy
Marcy
the
the
Buzzard,
Buzzard, but
as portrayed by Grayson Waller.
uh, Gabby the Witch,
Abby.
Abby. Damn.
Abby. I'll send it to her memo page.
Well,
Uh,
that's it. You're alive and well done.
the Fiend, and then Bray Wyatt came
But
out the Forbidden Door,
you
and
forgot the Fiend's head.
Yes, Fiend's head.
yes, and now he has a new mask. It kind of seems like it's the Bray Wyatt of old, but that has yet to be seen. But how do you see this run of Bray Wyatt going, Ryan?
Well, I feel like this is going to end up in some sort of faction being formed. But I feel like this Bray Wyatt is going to be more interesting than any other version of Bray Wyatt we've ever seen. You know, it seems like this character is mixing, you know, his Fiend character, his Firefly Funhouse character, and the Eater of Worlds character. And it seems like, you know, he's finding himself back in the WWE again. He's trying to figure out how to get back, how to just figure who he is, figure out like what happened to him. I mean, what happened on SmackDown, it seems like there's himself, his real self. It seems like even almost how he sounded, a scared self. And then you have his alter ego. It's like, who is the real Bray Wyatt? Which version is the real Bray Wyatt? We've seen Bray Wyatt, you know, be one of the creepiest wrestlers ever to step foot in a ring. Which version can we trust? Obviously, you know, last night we can say that we can trust, you know, the Bray Wyatt that was speaking in the ring. But can that just be, you know, that could be himself, but going to the alter ego, that might be his true self, the true Bray Wyatt that, you know, is aiming for the championship, aiming for to get, you know, just get to the top again, to take control, you know, with this whole, you know, who killed the world, you did, like, you know, it feels like, you know, the Bray Wyatt that was seen in the ring, it's almost like he was thanking everybody that to bring him back and everything. But his alter ego is basically saying, you guys killed the world. You guys, you know, or speaking to somebody else, Vince. But, you know, I feel like this can go well for him. I feel like I'm just rambling on, but in the end, I feel like this is gonna go well for him. I feel like this is gonna end up for some sort of world title reign for him, and I hope it goes well because there was something missing ever since he left WWE. It felt like there was something missing of that one guy that will get everybody, you know, out of their seats every time they appear, get them out of their, you know, chairs at home, just to lean them into the TV to hear them listen. It felt like we were missing that sort of person. Bray Wyatt was that person. Bray Wyatt is the answer to what WWE is looking for with problem of looking for that top guy. Bray Wyatt is that top guy now, because Roman Reigns, apparently, everybody's getting sick and tired of him. People need a new guy to cheer for. People need a new guy to, be, the champ. Bray Wyatt is that guy. If you want somebody to take the title off of Roman, you have your answer now. Bray Wyatt.
It seems like Bray, when it came to telling the story, he was always an A plus. But when it came to actually telling the story in the ring and having a match, it always felt like it fell below expectations because he tried to bring the story in the ring when all you really needed to do was have the the story, not to have to tell the story as an actual physical match, which he never really did a lot as the Fiend. Um, do you see that changing, Scooter? Where do you see the Fiend going? Bray Wyatt, I should say.
Well, last night, Bray Wyatt addresses the crowd for the first time in quite some time, and he speaks. He speaks plainly. He's not speaking as any character. There's emotion behind those eyes, and he starts tearing up, especially when he mentions Luke Harper. Doesn't reference him by name, but he references losing two of his friends, two people close to him. We're assuming that's Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. There's been the rumor ever since the White Rabbit showed up that the Wyatt Six were going to show up and basically be all the personalities of the Funhouse brought to life. But when you think about it, if these characters were forgotten, abandoned, why would they want to continue to follow Bray? Here's the thing. As SmackDown went off the air last night, somebody were believed to be Bray also appeared on the Titantron wearing that black phone mask, and that's what I'm going to call it from now on, because it's practically the mask from the black phone. And they had the Fiend contacts in. And he was speaking to Bray as if he's saying, oh little one, we have so much to do and whatnot. Are we being thrown for a loop that there is actually somebody else who is now trying to piggyback off Bray's return?
Could that be Bo Dallas? Because, if I'll make him a little fatter and he's a replica of Bray.
That's absolutely true. And And again, is this a battle between Bray and himself? I honestly think we've 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 seen that. I As much as I love Bray's ability to give 110% in everything he does, I don't think we need to see Bray battling another personality. I mean, the Fiend was supposed to be the true big bad. And you're going to take this new mask and it gets its own personality. And I'll be honest with you, it's not as scary as the Fiend mask.
No.
It's creepy, not as scary though. I mean, it doesn't have the tongue that he can move by, squeezing a button. I Even though it was really short, I enjoyed seeing Bray be a real person. It's a refreshing change. And I think especially with the fact that the QR codes don't seem to be stopping. So I'm really hoping this leads to Bray just getting a chance to be Bray without the need for a mask. I mean, the idea of people assuming the characters from the Funhouse and going to war with Bray is an interesting idea. Especially with the rumors of Joe Gacy and Schism being called up, Cameron Grimes as well. We know Cameron Grimes will be at Raw to recruit tag team tag team partners for Halloween Havoc.
Oh, well, I mean, the logical one is Baron Corbin, but that's a whole little conversation.
And I mean, clearly Mercy the Buzzard was Grayson Waller. I mean, just look at that shirt. Yeah, but I don't remember Ramblin' Rabbit, having those bloodshot eyes.
Well, when he died a few times before they put him back
Yeah.
together.
But again, the rumor being Bo Dallas is finally coming back as well. I think we are being led down an entirely different rabbit hole. And it's Bo Dallas actually tormenting Bray while trying to have Bray thinks it's happening in his mind.
That's really interesting. And, I think whatever Bray does, people are definitely going to watch, and it's definitely going to be interesting because, it seems like the storyline wise, it's infinite. He could do basically anything at this point. That being said, I'd say keep him out of the title picture. Let him be Bray. You don't need that character in the title picture or winning a championship. He doesn't need a title.
I've been thinking about something with this whole Bray Wyatt thing, especially with the segment from last night. I feel like the QR codes, especially with who killed the world you did. What if those QR codes were not for us? What if it was this alternate personality of Bray's talking to Bray? Revel in what you are. Enjoy what you had. Enjoy what you actually are. And that is Bray Wyatt, not this guy that was seen in the ring on SmackDown last night. What if he's actually saying, revel in what you are? You are actually the Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, everything. This is you, and like this is like it. That's what I'm thinking, because revel in what you are. That wouldn't make sense to us. It would make sense if it was the alter ego talking to Bray. Who killed the world? You did. You are killing the world, Bray. You are killing the world that you had with the Firefly Funhouse. Now they're gonna go against you. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, there's some things you have to understand. That thing we thought was a firefly is a moth. What do moths do?
They eat clothing.
They eat through fabric. What else do? They attract to light. And this is what the Wyatt face mask said to Bray on SmackDown. Come with him. Your life is done. Forget the future, forget the past. Life is over. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Oh, but you will. Oh, but you will.
And also sorry.
I think the world being killed is not a world per se, but it's a family. It's Bo Dallas's world that was killed. That if Bray hadn't left, Bo could still very well have had a job. And the idea that whatever happened to Bray has now theoretically passed into Bo Dallas, the fact that this is possibly either contagious or genetic makes for a very interesting story, and you get a new main eventer out of somebody nobody ever expected to evolve past.
OD.
Yeah. I mean, Bo Dallas was at one time considered the future of the business. in NXT.
Yes. You know,
I mean, with everything, what if the QR codes, and I like where Ryan took this, what if they were for Bray from Bo?
Well, that's what I'm like. That's what I'm thinking. Like, if it is from Bo, whatever who was behind the mask. Obviously, at Extreme Rules, it was Bray behind the mask because he took off the mask. But what if it's if it's Bo getting to Bray's head or whatever? Also, with that QR code where it led to a video saying "Let him in." You would think that's to us, right? Just because the Fiend always said that. What if it's Bo? If it is Bo, telling Bray, let the Fiend in. You were successful as the Fiend. This is not going to work. This will help us if we can get the Fiend back. Let him in.
Unless the Fiend has been caught as a disease by Bo Dallas. And he wants to get rid of it. He wants Bray to take it back.
He wants Bray to be successful. That's his old right. Isn't Bray older than him?
Yeah,
did we see Alexa Bliss?
Or is he younger?
All of this?
No, but my thing is that when Bray left, think of the Fiend as a symbiote, and he doesn't have a host, and he found a new one in Bo Dallas, and Bo Dallas is starting to not like it or change in ways he never thought. And he wants Bray to take the Fiend back. He wants the Fiend to leave him and possess Bray. There's so much possibility with storytelling here.
Oh, for sure.
Or if let's say this could all be a turn, this could all be a twist, and Bray and Bo is actually the real leader of the faction, if there is a faction. If he wants, this huge faction, of course he's gonna want the Fiend, right? You don't want, a Bray that's gonna lose. You want the Fiend that has won most of the time. You want the Fiend to dominate. So far, no side of the Fiend, except for Extreme Rules, of course, but that's not Bray. He wants the Fiend to come back. He wants Bray to let him in, like he always said. Like how Bray always said on the Firefly Funhouse, let him in. Basically, this is, or if it's just Bray Wyatt in general, if it's just his old self, he's basically telling him what he used to say. Let him in. Follow what you said, Bray. Why are you changing? This is not how we visioned. We said this would be, that we would have a fresh start, and you want to abandon us? It's not cool. Especially it was basically, it was basically his friends. You don't abandon friends.
And I'm sure we will go down that rabbit hole as the weeks come, and a lot more of this will be clear. Yeah, just a lot. There's always a new layer to Bray Wyatt. I think is how we should end this conversation. For now. Back to Extreme Rules. How many thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, Ryan?
I'm gonna go midway between thumbs up and thumbs middle. It's like a 45-degree angle with the thumb.
So basically a Orange Cassidy thumbs up.
Almost like that, yeah. Let's go with that.
Scooter.
Well, from wherever, playing, whatever, I'll give it a thumbs up.
Without Bray Wyatt, thumbs in the middle. With Bray Wyatt, thumbs up. That will conclude this episode of Wrestling With. Thank you for listening to us today. And thank you, Ryan, for coming on and talking with us.
Thank you for having me.
Could you tell us where we can find you on social media and your show, your podcast?
You can find me on Instagram at RyanDust WWE. There you will see just my daily, my real life self, but also where you get updates and announcements for my wrestling podcast, which is on YouTube at RyanDust, called Dusting Off the Ropes, where I just interview professional wrestlers right now from Long Island, hoping to expand soon once, I get comfortable. But for right now, I'm sticking with Long Island. So if you like Long Island, especially if you ever heard of Creative Pro Wrestling, I'm going to be interviewing guys from there. So make sure to subscribe today. Make sure to subscribe to Wrestling with Entertainment. Make sure to subscribe to everywhere. Subscribe to all of us.
Yeah, subscribe to everywhere. That's fantastic. Of course, if you like what we're doing, please obviously like, subscribe, comment. Both on YouTube and Castbox. This is, of course, sponsored by Rose Energy and Coffee. Join us this Tuesday. We should have an interview for you then. And on Wednesday, the interview of the American Witch and Erica Clark. Follow the show on Twitter at Wrestling with E for news on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, etc., etc. And on Instagram at Wrestling with E as well. Of course, support the future CCW champion Becca. As later today, she will be capturing that title against Kaylin King and Natasha Malkova.
Natalia Markova.
Whatever.
Yeah. Whatever. Get a life, you stands.
Yeah. Becca is gonna be your champion. If you can follow me individually at JamesJ993. You can follow Kaliko at I am Kaliko, and where can you find Squirtle?
You can find me shooting my Netflix stand-up comedy special live from Camp Lejeune. Free water for everybody that attends. And of course, find me on Twitter at ScooterDust. Find me, James and Ryan, hosting the Remix on YouTube, the premier audio companion experience for all your alternate commentary needs for WWE Premium live events. Next time we come to you is likely going to be Survivor Series. Probably not going to be Crown Jewel. We'd have to get off too early. And of course, hasn't started yet. Is bound to soon. Join me as I embark on my first ever Dungeons and Dragons campaign, along with Rico Constantino Jr. and the rest of the Smoking Dragons, twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons.
This is starting to become a longer journey than Bilbo and had to Mordor.
Yeah, except with more walking.
Yeah. Alright, for a very special guest, RyanDust, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey guys, this is Brutal Bob Evans from Hangs with Bob Seminars and TheWrestleLife.com, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.